Today, I have Steve Offsey, who is VP of Marketing for Pointillist, who will talk to us a little bit about the findings from a recent survey they've done, which I believe is the third year in a row for this kind of a thing, but also more broadly about what's happening in the world of CX and the way brands are approaching that discipline. So Steve, first of all, thanks for your time and for joining me.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here.
So this survey is really interesting because now there's some longitudinal data to look at. And I think listening to you talk about it and reading what's in the report, there's a certain amount of maturity that's becoming evident in the way, let's just say some brands, not all brands, are approaching CX. Can you talk a little bit about, let's just frame it up this way, journey management and the ways that top brands are using it?
Sure. When we started this report 3 years ago, journey management was not well known at all, even among CX forward organizations. And over the last 3 years, what we've seen a definite trend towards more organizations adopting a journey-based approach to CX. And what we mean by journey management is defining what customer journeys exist right from the outset, then being able to measure within the context of those journeys how what's working and what isn't, how they're performing, and then being able to engage with customers in the context of those journeys. That is sort of journey management in a nutshell. And what we've seen over the last 3 years is a definite trend toward more organizations taking a journey management approach to doing their customer experience.
Almost by definition, CX is a function that to be effective needs to cross silos and connect functions. And what the latest report seems to be saying, among other things, is that there's a long way to go to achieve that. Why do you think that is?
Absolutely. What we're seeing is a large disparity between what we're calling grouping into a category we're calling the high performers, who are people whose CX is producing value and is recognized by the organization that this is making not only the customer's life better, but improving the organization's performance. And what we're calling the underperformers, who are people in organizations where no one sees any progress, they don't see any outputs being improved for the company. And what we see is that the high performers at this point are just totally embracing a journey-based approach. And it goes beyond just measuring and managing journeys, but it extends all the way to organizational design. So nearly 70% of the respondents who are in high-performing organizations reported that they had dedicated roles or teams organized around journeys, compared to only 35% of the underperformers. So this is one of the things we're seeing in those organizations is not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, and saying if our customers are seeing us as a company organized in a certain way, we need to be able to respond and interact with them, not by the functions that we have internally, but by the journeys our customers are taking.
It seems to me that a large part of enterprise CX, let's just call it change management, because there's would seem to be a lot of organizational kind of reformation along these new lines, which are they're not traditionally measured or tracked, and maybe not traditionally valued even for that reason. So how does someone like Pointillist, with your platform, manage that kind of, call it might even be cultural adaptation?
Well, Pointillist provides a SaaS platform that enterprises use to basically operationalize journey management. And what that means is that the platform in it has the journeys that your customers are taking, so that you can measure how customers are performing on those journeys, whether they're reaching their goals, whether there are blockages on the way that are causing them to leak out of that journey, or just drop out and not complete it. And then also orchestrate actions to help the customer better achieve the goal they're looking for in that journey. It also, though, allows uniquely organizations to collaborate around journeys, because if you truly want to get a customer-centric organization, you have to do more than just say, we're going to be customer-centric.
Right.
You need to actually have your employees work in a way that's oriented around how the customer wants to interact with you and what their goals are, which is the endpoint of the journeys that they're taking. So what the platform allows you to do is take an organization that is in siloed functions, traditional functions, but actually collaborate in a journey-based context. So if your customer, for example, is on a journey, say you're at a bank and it's a money transfer journey, anyone that's involved with that could be collaborating. We're saying there's a point where there's a problem in this journey. Customers who are on the website are leaking out and calling into the call center. There's an issue. Your employees immediately will be able to get alerted that there's a problem in that journey and jump into action mode to fix it, and collaborate with people across functions, whether it's marketing, CX, the call center, the IT group, whoever your digital product owners are, and all quickly coalesce, understand what the root cause of the problem is, and then implement actions to solve it.
So I've seen the Pointillist platform, and quite frankly, I don't see anything else out there that gives CX practitioners that level of data and insights, especially modeling different journey scenarios. My question is, and you alluded to this earlier, there are the high performing CX companies, and then there's kind of everybody else. Are there any commonalities that you can find other than, organizational readiness? But are there certain, call it sectors, that are maybe more ready for this kind of thing than others?
Well, one of the things that came out of the survey is that the degree of alignment is so much higher in high performers than in underperformers. And in one of the areas that's most critical for alignment turns out to be, not surprisingly, CX and marketing. So in underperformers, CX and marketing were not very aligned. And what I mean by that is that the CX team the marketing team in the underperformers would say that they're aligned on customer experience. The marketing team would say it's a #1 priority. The marketing team would say that they have customer-centric goals. But in the underperformers, the CX team wouldn't agree.
Okay.
There was quite a disparity there. So marketing thought it was customer-centric, and CX in those organizations said, no, we don't see eye to eye. In the high performers, they were aligned. In the high performers, they were 2 times more likely to regularly collaborate on CX initiatives between marketing and CX. And they were also more likely to be tightly aligned on customer-centric approaches and goals than the underperformers were.
So can we draw a connection between marketing and CX departmental alignment and whether CX lives within the marketing realm, or if it lives, say, under a CIO or CTO in the organization? Is there a connection we can make there? And if it is it a valid one?
That didn't come out clearly. It seemed to be independent of whether CX, where it reported, whether it was under marketing or not. But there was a definite dependency in how aligned it was. CX and marketing were in high performers. The alignment was far tighter than in underperformers, and it pretty much went across the board, across industries.
Really?
And again, I think that's just a tip of the iceberg example of the alignment you need across the entire company. But that was one, a very interesting one that jumped right out. Because again, most marketers, when you talk to them, will say, of course, we're customer centric. But the CX teams and a lot of the companies who are not performing well on CX said, no, you're not. And that's where we think can be used as a motivator for companies to improve that alignment, change the way their marketing team prioritizes, and get better aligned with not just CX, but with product teams, with customer success and customer support teams, and contact center teams all across the company.
What specific questions should CX leaders be asking of their organizations to try and understand whether that alignment exists, could exist potentially, or just has no chance of existing?
Yeah, I think where it all starts is the definition of a customer journey. That's one of the terms nowadays that's getting kind of thrown around so much that it's kind of losing its meaning. And one of the areas is for a CX leader to talk to marketing leader and to make sure they're actually, when they say customer journey, they're both talking about the same thing. A customer journey is the customer's path to accomplish the goal the customer wants to achieve. And when you define customer journeys that way from your customer's perspective, those are the journeys we're talking about managing when you do journey management. So if the customer wants to buy, that's an easy one, right? But there are plenty of other ones that your customer wants to do that companies haven't been good at managing traditionally. Things like getting onboarding type things where the customer wants to get set up and get going, or change journeys like I'm a cable customer and I'm moving and I want to make sure that my service moves with me and it's working the day that I get there. It could be, there's a whole range of different journeys that different companies and different industries need to manage. So the first question is, are you actually talk on the same page in understanding what a customer journey is? Can you actually catalog what all the important journeys are for your customers? And are you actually then again moving towards measuring those journeys and helping customers to achieve those goals? What we've traditionally seen in marketing and what's happening a lot in the underperforming organizations is, and I put some of the blame on this on traditional marketing tech vendors, is simply taking marketing campaigns and campaign automation and doing kind of a search and replace in Word and changing campaign to customer journey. What those end up being are not journeys the customer's taking to reach the goal the customer wants to achieve. What those are a set of an internal process to get the customer to achieve the marketer's goal.
Right.
And that's a very different thing to manage and to measure and to achieve. So the first step I would say for checking and improving alignment is for CX and marketing to make sure that they're actually defining customer journey in the same way. Because once you've done that, then you've taken a first step down the path to succeeding.
So it sounds like Pointillist and TheCustomer, this entity, are fighting the same battle.
That's good to hear.
To align marketers with the customer perspective in something that goes beyond just words.
Absolutely, because the other way I think CX can, when you find out that marketing isn't aligned, the best way I think to wake up people to the situation is to just basically point to the obvious fact that if the way you're marketing your brand is not aligned with the actual experience your existing customers have, then those customers are never coming back. They're not buying more. That's why it's so important that this is all aligned.
Well, Steve, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for adding context to the findings of your survey. We'll have a link to the survey download just below this video. But for now, Steve, thanks again. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure, Mike. Nice to talk to you.